Another comic book legend, Alex Toth, was in Los Angeles working on an animated series called Space Angel when he asked Doug to come to L.A. and join him. Doug was hired on a trial basis for 1 week, but worked 14 weeks on the series until it ended, and he found himself in Los Angeles and out of work. He applied to Universal as a storyboard artist, and while he was waiting to hear back, someone told him to take samples of his work over to Hanna-Barbera, where they were in the planning stages of doing a very unique project. Doug met Bill Hanna, who asked if he could, in his comic book style, design an animated adventure series. Doug storyboarded scenes, designed some characters, and even wrote some dialogue. All things he had been doing, creating his own strips and comic books for years. When Joe Barbera saw this work, he hired him instantly as the show's director. Hanna-Barbera had their man to design their action-adventure show. And the show was Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy.
Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions, bring you the thrilling adventures of Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy.
Though most of us are too young for that title to mean anything, Jack Armstrong was a long-running CBS radio show, where Hudson High School student Jack Armstrong joined his Uncle Jim for a series of globe-trotting adventures. Sponsored by Wheaties, Jack Armstrong transformed the term Breakfast of Champions into a major marketing phenomenon. Doug designed a 2.5-minute test film for Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy. Whether it was ever shown to the networks is unclear, but you've seen it many times. Some of it at the end of every episode of Jonny Quest. But Jack Armstrong never really got off the ground. Why? Had the rights to the characters suddenly become too pricey? Or did Hanna-Barbera suddenly realize the incredible talent of the man they had just hired? Either way, the Armstrong project was suddenly shelved, and the boys asked Doug Wildey if he could design an original action-adventure show. Doug Wildey then began thinking about his own All-American Boy and the world he would create for him. That's right. Doug's original title for the adventures of Jonny Quest was actually The Saga of Chip Ballou. The next title for the show was Quest File 037. Then it became The Adventures of Jonny Quest, and later in syndication shortened to just Jonny Quest. Quest was a name he eventually picked out of the LA phone book for its adventurous implications. In this note to a lucky fan, Doug claims this was the first draft concept for Jonny himself. Doug said a variety of influences helped him shape the title character of Jonny Quest. One was young Jackie Cooper. This rough, tough, precocious boy Jackie often played was much like Jonny. And young Jackie Cooper's relationship to, say, Wallace Beery or George Raft, depending on the film, was another relationship model for him to use, creating the dynamic between Jonny and Race.
I forgot to remind you. You've got some homework to do, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Make sure you do it.
Yes, sir.
Good boy. This is Hydrofoil. Over and out.
You know what the trouble with the world is, Race?
No? Suppose you tell me.
It's gotten too scientific.
I know just how you feel. Tell you what, first you can help me with the emergency ejector system and then do your homework. How'd that be?
Oh, just darn near perfect. Bandit thinks so, too.
Hey, Reese! Looks like Dad's got visitors. Come on, Bandit!
Oh, no, you don't.
The relationship between the athletic and self-assured Race and the eager Jonny resembled a similar one between Terry and Pat Ryan in Terry and the Pirates. One of the most successful comic strips of all time, it ran from 1934 to 1946 and then into the 1950s as a radio show. Terry and the Pirates resembles Quest not only for some of the characters, but also in the sharp, angular look of the artwork, the emphasis on scientific gadgets and high-tech hardware, and the far-flung exotic locales for the action. Doug had worked with Milt Caniff and stated categorically that he was the greatest storyteller in the business. Doug had little doubt that this was the major influence on his Quest creations, and laughed when he said that imitation was, after all, the sincerest form of flattery.